Hello, good evening. Welcome to Monday Marriage Conversations. We are your hosts,
Thaddeus and Amanda Randolph. Glad you join us on this evening. We're so excited for you being here tonight. We're excited about you here
taking
tonight.
a deep breath.
Taking
right?
a deep breath. You know,
Yeah,
it's been a Monday, a long Monday. Been
Yeah.
doing a lot. So we're just thankful for you being up with us on tonight. Pray your week got off to a great start.
And we also hope you had a great Valentine's.
Yeah, hope you had a great Valentine's Day, and you
Shared love with
share
your loved
love
ones.
and your loved ones, and we didn't we kind of took it easy.
Yeah, we
Um,
did.
yeah, I'm not a big Valentine, but that's just
You're my Valentine, though.
yeah. You're my Valentine. So,
Okay.
I mean, I think I should. I'll try to do 365. I don't try to make a deposit one day. I'm not saying anybody's doing it.
You at least make a monthly deposit.
Yes, I do. All right.
All right. So welcome again to our Monday Marriage Conversations. We're having a discussion. We've been talking this month specifically, about whispering sweet nothings to our loved ones or significant others. We kind of flipped it a little bit and said we're not just whispering sweet nothings, we're whispering sweet something.
Yes.
Because
something.
we want our words to be impactful and meaningful. We want to build one another up and not tear one another down.
Yeah.
And today we've kind of got an interesting conversation
Yeah.
that, we had to go, I won't say we had to go back, but as we look back over the years that we've been together, we
Yeah.
can say that we've experienced
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the silent treatment.
Yes. Old silent treatment.
Yeah, where we shut down and don't want to talk to
Don't.
each other.
Yeah.
Right. And so our foundation for this evening is the silent treatment versus the sacred silence. And some of you may be wondering, what is the difference? What do you mean by sacred silence? Well, hold on and listen to us on this evening.
Stay tuned.
You will find out.
We'll find out.
So we've uncovered the immense power that words have,
Mhm.
right? How, as I said earlier, how they can build up a relationship or they can tear it down, right? And how we can whisper sweet words that nurture intimacy and love to our mates, right?
Yeah.
And how do we do this? We do that with biblical wisdom and using words of grace and intention, right? We've also explored some practical ways that you can speak life over your relationship or into your relationship by making your words a source of strength, healing, and connection, right? But what happens when words are not spoken? That's where that silent treatment comes in, right? What about the moment when silence fills the space where words should be? Is silent always golden? They used to say the golden rule was
Silence is golden.
Yeah, silence is golden. Or can it sometimes be a slow poison in a relationship?
Yeah.
That's deep right there.
Yeah, that's deep. And I think if it's done in an unhealthy way, it definitely can be that silent poison.
Yeah. Well, the silent treatment is unhealthy. That's what I just heard you say.
Yeah, it's unhealthy.
Yeah.
I think silent treatment is definitely helped. When I looked at it there, I never uh, uh, things I spot. I never looked at silent treatment like that.
Mhm.
But when we looked at it, I said, yeah, that silent treatment is an unhealthy way of
Communicate.
communicating.
Yeah.
It is a form of communication. And
Yeah.
that's why I looked at it. I said, so even when I'm talking, body language is a form of communication.
Mhm.
Talking and I'm talking is communication. But silent treatment, when I'm not talking, I'm also communicating.
Yes, you are.
That's powerful in a way that because we just look at it as, I just don't want to talk to you right now. Or, I don't have nothing to say to you right now.
Yeah.
And we give each other silence. We'll walk around on eggshells, and we don't speak to each other for 2 days. I mean, unless we have to stay past the salt or something like that.
Did you pick up the kids?
Yeah.
Did you get the mail?
Yeah, and I
Those
think
kind.
about that. Sometimes when we were younger, we both we both were in the military. It was a lot easier for us to give each other salary
Yeah, it was.
because we were both. You went to your job, I went to my job.
Yeah.
We didn't call each other all day.
We didn't early
have
on. We
tech-
didn't have cell phones
Like
then.
the first part of it,
Yeah.
but there was no cell phones. We didn't call. We didn't do nothing.
Yeah,
I mean, you had the unit phone you could call, but you
Yeah.
didn't call.
Yeah.
You didn't say, "Hey, you want to go to lunch?" Nothing. You just wasn't talking. It was a silent treatment. But that was not helping.
Yeah, it was.
It
We
was
leave the
helping.
job, come home.
Yeah, and still don't
wanna
talk. Still don't talk. Yeah, just eat and then go. Probably eat. Go to you be in one
One
room.
room.
I've been up
Mhm.
because at the time we didn't have no kids. You just be in one room. I've been other. Whatever on PlayStation, nothing like that. I'll probably go watch sports. Or something.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So
Yeah. We went and watched sports, and I picked up a book and started reading.
yeah. So that's how we did the silent treatment. So we've been there, done that, got a T-shirt. So we definitely can take. But when we look back on that, we say, man, we saw how unhealthy that was.
Yeah.
It did not uh, help our relationship at all.
Mhm.
Did not help us with connection. But there were a couple times we had needed marriage counseling ourselves
Yeah, we did.
because there was no connection and we wasn't talking. So silent treatment is definitely unhealthy.
Yeah. Yeah. So imagine this,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we kind of just talked about this a little bit, right? But just imagine this: you and your partner, your spouse, you had a disagreement, and instead of addressing it, one of you shuts down completely. Like we just said, no words, no eye contact, just an invisible wall that grows thicker by the minute. You go to work, I go to work. There's a wall.
Yeah.
We don't talk to each other. We don't call each other. We barely say hello to each other in the morning, or when we get home, we barely say hello to each other. You go to one room and I go to another. That wall that might have started like a pony wall
Yeah.
has now become an
It's
8 foot, 9
yeah.
foot, 10 foot wall between the two of you, right?
Yeah.
So days pass and the tension lingers in the air. And we've been there where we've gone days really without talking to each other,
Yeah.
without like, hey,
Hey.
how you doing?
Come on.
Yeah. Without like, right?
You have that. I want to call it a holy divide. Oh, you have that the cold divide.
That cold shoulder.
No, the cold divide when you speak.
Cold,
It's like,
yeah.
don't touch me, don't touch my leg, don't you be on your side of the bed, I'm on my side, we ain't talking, we ain't touching, we ain't doing nothing.
So now contrast that with another scenario, another scenario, right? It's a moment of silence, but this time it's different. How's it different? It's intentional, it's reflective, and filled with grace. It creates a space for listening, for understanding, and for healing. And we both had to learn it, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to dive into this where we're going to explore how you can break free from the toxic cycle of silent treatment and embrace silence as a sacred space for deeper connection, right?
Yep.
That's what we're going to do for today.
The one we talked about silence, one type of silence build walls. Pick out. Okay. So, silence can either be a weapon,
Mm-hmm.
a wounds, or a sacred place that heals.
Yeah.
And did you go over there?
No.
Huh?
No.
So in this, we're going to talk about the difference between using silence to punish. That's another thing. Is silence can be used to punish as well. Using it to punish and using it to cultivate deeper understanding and connection. We're going to talk about the two contrasts. How we use silence to as form of punish, or I'm using silence to cultivate a deeper understanding and a deeper connection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to unpack how to handle conflict without withdrawing.
Yeah, that's good.
In a harmful way, and how biblical wisdom challenges, encourages us to embrace silence with intention.
Yeah.
That's good, because most people don't think of that, embracing silence with intention.
Yeah.
That's important. That's important. I wanted to share something, but I don't have to do this. But I'll leave it alone for now.
One of our former pastors preached a message. I forget the exact title of it, but he gave us this acronym like KYMS. And he said, keep your mouth shut, right? And when he was saying that in kind of in regards, I remember the context. It wasn't so much about relationships, but it could be used in relationships, right? Where you're having a disagreement with someone. I think it was talking about engaging in foolish or vain conversations and arguments with other individuals.
Yeah.
Because you can't persuade them when their mind is already made up. So it's like, just keep your mouth shut and allow the Lord to speak in the interim for you, right? I might be mixing it up a little bit, but anyway, this is what I'm saying. The KYMS in this instance is where you just decide to sit in sacred silence and allow the Lord to handle whatever that situation is, wherever it's doing with internal reflection with yourself or your spouse having to deal with internal reflection. Where did I go wrong? What did I do? How can we fix this? How can we come back together and not have such a heated discussion or disagreement, but we can speak to one another in love, right? So silence can build walls or bridges. We just have to choose which one we want to build.
Yeah, I think another part of that KYMS could be a way of I'm going to keep my mouth shut so I don't escalate. As well. I don't escalate the situation further. So it's not only where I'm being going to go to reflect, but I'm also I don't want to escalate.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So I
That's
keep
a good
my mouth
point.
shut.
That's a good point.
Or if I don't want to say, I'll make sure I don't want to say something or say some words that I know I can't take it back. Once it's out there, you can take it back.
There. Yeah.
So, and then it goes back to what he said too about keeping a guard over your mouth.
Yeah.
Scripture tell you that. I think it's in Proverbs that Lord put a guard over my mouth, oh Lord, over my mouth, over my lips. So it put a guard over it means keep me from saying the wrong thing or speaking evil or saying the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Yeah. So faith declaration for this would be, I will use silence as a tool for understanding, not as a weapon for withdrawal.
That's good. I will use silence as a tool for understanding, not as a weapon for withdrawal. So how does that look like in relationship? How does that look like in relationship, marriage or a relationship?
I think one of the things we've had to learn is to say, okay, our emotions are high. We may say the wrong thing. We may say something we can't take back. So let's just take a time out.
Yeah.
And let's agree to take the time out, knowing that we need to go and cool ourselves down so that calmer heads can prevail, right? Common sense and wisdom can be applied to whatever it is that the discussion is about. And then we say, okay, we're taking a time out, but we're going to agree to come back and have this conversation because it needs to be had, right? So I think that's how it shows up in a relationship. When we see and understand that we're having a discussion that can quickly spiral out of control. But we choose to step back and step away from it, and we both agree to step away from it in that moment so that we can come back and talk about it.
I just had a thought. How just looking back over our marriage over the years, just especially our early years,
Mhm.
how that man, we were very good at silent treatment. We could. It could
Master,
be like you wasn't even in the house.
we were masters.
Yeah,
We could teach you a master class
yeah,
on the
because
silent treatment.
and I think two things may have. Well, for me, I'll say for me, but two things may have been them. Number one, I'm an introvert, so I like being by myself. I get my energy for myself anyway. If I ain't gotta talk to you, if I'm in that mode, I want to talk to you. I can easily get.
Yeah.
And I think another thing is my upbringing and my environment. We didn't have. There was. I saw that. I saw a lot of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We give each other the silence. So I grew up seeing it. I grew up watching it. You can grow up thinking that's the way I handle.
Yeah.
That's the way I handle when I get mad and when stuff don't go my way. Is I go into my corner and I go. I don't want to talk to you. I get my ball and I go home.
Yeah.
Because because it don't go my way. I think so too. My environment. Number one, my environment. Number two, I'm an introvert. I'm an introverted person, so it's easy for me to get into that mode.
Yeah.
I don't know what would be yours.
I would say that I'm an introvert too.
Mhm.
I draw energy by being alone and being silent. And I grew up, of course, the oldest child, and I was the oldest child for almost 11 years. So there were many a days when I was young. I was a latchkey kid. So I was home alone by myself. Didn't have a whole lot to talk because my mom would say, "Don't open the door, don't answer the phone, don't talk to nobody." Right? So I can be by myself, and I'm comfortable being by myself. But then I think the other side to that too is that I didn't like conflict.
Okay. Yeah, neither one.
Not so much that I saw it, but I just did not like it.
Yeah.
Right. And the conflict that I did see growing up wasn't healthy.
Yeah.
So I didn't like conflict. So mine is almost like yours, but a little bit different.
I think that's.
We're both introverts.
Mm-hmm.
We both can do the silent treatment. We both can withdraw into ourselves. But that's not always healthy.
I think that's true for both of us. That we both introverts and the silent treatment we saw what helped. So I like the space that phrase says. So it lets me know that silence can be used as a tool or a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So now,
what's the difference between a tool and a weapon?
A tool is like a resource used to build something.
Mm-hmm.
A weapon normally is for war or aggression. Mm-hmm. I would say like for safety. Okay. It could be safe, but mainly war or aggression.
Can I add another definition for tool? A tool can be used to fix.
That's good. That's even better. I said tool you use what? Build and repair and fix. Yes.
Tool can be used to fix.
Yeah.
So,
that's good. So I like that silence as how used to fix. And the thing that comes to mind is being reflective, mm-hmm. or taking a step back and being reflective, just sitting in silence. Because the scripture even tells us in Ecclesiastes that there's a time to what? There's a time to speak,
and a time to keep silent,
and a time to be silent, and a time to speak. Mm-hmm. So there's a time for both of them.
Yes.
There's an appropriate time, an appointed time for both. But I like that we have to know the time, distinguish the time, know, and then use wisdom in the moment. Say, hey, this might not be a good time for us. We've said that this might not be a good time for us. Mm-hmm. Let's table this and reflect on it and come back at another time and discuss it.
Yeah.
I think that's how That's one of the ways that this could help in relationships. And we know, hey, this is not a good time for us to talk about this, not the right moment for us to talk about this. Um, let's both think about it, reflect on it, and then come back. Even when cooler heads prevail or when the tensions are not as high, the emotions are not high, let's come back and okay. I like Proverbs 17:28 says this: even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongue.
Mm.
It reminds me of that old saying that says that um, oh, I might remember it. I might remember it in just a minute. But I used to say it all the time when I learned. I said, "Oh man, I like that." Uh, something about uh, being silent and keep my mouth shut. Uh, I'll remember it in a
I
minute.
don't know what
I
you.
remember in a minute, but it's almost it looked like it got it from the scripture.
It might have.
But go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's a little ironic that a fool,
Mm-hmm.
right, can be thought of as wise when they keep silent, when they keep their mouth.
Mm. Yes. Yes.
Because you would think that a fool would just continue to keep talking.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But when they are considered wise when they keep their mouth silent. I'm gonna use the scripture, and then they are discerning if they hold their tongue, meaning that they don't speak just off the concept of just speaking and talking and rattling off.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's important because we know how we usually hear growing up. I'm gonna tell you a piece of my mind. I'm gonna give you a piece of my mind. That means that somebody's gonna go off on you.
Have no mind to get.
Yeah, somebody's gonna go off on you. But scripture tells it's not always appropriate just to talk to a lot of talk. Sometimes it's best to listen. And the best moments we've learned, in even we do the talker listener. Uh, and we found out that active listening is a skill.
Yes, it
is. So we found out that it's not always about what you say. Sometimes it's good just to sit and listen. It's important in relationship to be a good listener, be sit in silence and hear what the other person has to say. And so that's another thing. But it seems like everybody, like you could be in those conversations where I'm not listening to hear you. I'm just waiting you to finish so I can say what's on my mind. I want to say something. So who's that, Chris? So I can say, I don't have my glasses. I can't see that.
Chris Henderson.
Bless you, Chris Henderson. But I don't. Yeah, but so we have to make sure that we're in a space where we can not only just speak, but it's important for us to listen as well. Be an active listener. That is a skill. That is something that just comes naturally because most of us love. We want to. Even if you're not even if you don't have the gift of gab, most of us, when we get into certain situations or we get into disagreements or have conflicts, we want to say what's on our mind.
Because we want to be heard.
That's yes, why. Because we want to be heard.
So we're going to talk.
So both of us want to be heard. So we both talking at the same time. We just talking over each other.
Yeah, and nobody's listening.
So we have to develop those active listening skills in order to hear each other. Yeah. So each can have that time to be heard.
Yeah, so that was from Proverbs 17:28. Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues.
Oh, I remember. It's better to be silent, be thought a fool, than to open my mouth and remove all doubt.
Somebody put that in the chat. Can you say it again?
It's better to keep silent and be thought a fool than to open my mouth and remove all doubt.
Wow.
I knew. Thank you, Hope. I knew it'll come back to me. All right.
That's good. And the other scripture you mentioned was Ecclesiastes 3:7. There's a time to be silent and a time to speak. So what are some practical tips that we can use to place silence in that sacred space? What are some practical things that we can do? to go from silent treatment to the sacred silence in a relationship.
One thing we do is practice pause and pray before reacting, before saying anything. Take a deep breath and invite God into the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
That's important. I was speaking to some individuals the other day that how that God, most of what God will not force himself on anyone.
Mhm.
Most of what God says is by invitation.
Yeah.
Jesus would say, whosoever will, let him come. He never forces you, but he always invites you. So you have to be able, it's on your, then the onus is on you to invite him in.
Or to accept
his invitation. To accept his invitation. Because that's the way that you humble yourself enough to accept the invitation and say, hey, I need change. No, I need what you have. So pause and pray before reacting. Take a deep breath and invite God in the moment. How do I invite God in the moment? It reminds me of the scripture in Proverbs says, trust the Lord all your heart, lean not to your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him. Acknowledge him in what I'm about to say next.
Yeah.
So God, I acknowledge you and what help me what I'm about to say or how I'm about to say it. Or maybe I don't need to say it.
Yeah.
So I invite you in the moment. I acknowledge you.
There's another scripture that I just remembered that the Psalm. It says, Lord, let the words of my heart let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart
that's
be
good.
Acceptable in thy sight. We know we're saying it's, oh Lord, my Redeemer, but the thing is, we need to make sure that the words that we're saying to one another are not just acceptable to each other, but they're acceptable to God.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Then the second one we can can communicate. You need time to process rather than just shutting down. That's what we did. That's what we didn't learn that.
No,
we learned that. We just shut down. We didn't communicate nothing. We were communicating by silence, by being silent. And our silence was, some of that silence was punishment or control.
Both.
It was both. It was the silence was punishment and control. I'm in control of this. I talk to you when I get ready.
Oh, thank God for growth.
Thank God for grace. Thank God for grace. I talk to you when I get ready. So if I don't, see, I learned something. See, and here I'm gonna tell on myself. So we all say this is what a man needs, but I knew I learned in high school that women like attention. So you ignore them. No, they will come find out why you're
Did I come find you?
Sometimes. Not a lot. Sometimes you didn't because you look introverted. But this was when we was young.
Yeah.
So that's part of why I got some of that problem. Yeah. But I found out that's not good.
You were taught wrong.
I was taught wrong. I learned wrong.
So I like how it says to communicate when you need time to process.
Yes, that's good.
That's something that we didn't mention earlier when I was talking about taking that time out. That's what that time out allows you to do.
Yeah.
It allows you to process what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and not so much rehearsing what you're going to say, but praying and asking God to give you the right words to say.
Yeah.
Because if we just talk from the top of our minds, still going from off of what we're feeling and how we may have felt in that moment, we could still come back and say the wrong thing. So we take that time, we use it judiciously and wisely, right? To process what we're thinking, what we're feeling, and then praying for God to give us the words to say so that we can come back together and resolve what we were in disagreement.
For those of you just joined us, we're talking about whispering, speak nothing. This is our episode. We're talking about the silent treatment versus sacred silence, and we're talking about practical steps to how to help us to practice this. It says in the last one, it says use intentional silence to reflect and hear what your partner is truly saying. That's what we talk about, the active listening. Using intentional silence. That's important. Using intentional silence. So most people are not silent intentionally.
Yeah. We like to use the scripture as James
Yeah.
1:19,
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
where we are to talk less,
Yeah.
listen more, and keep our emotions in check.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way we say it.
That's the
We
way we
know
say it.
that James says it a little bit different,
Yeah.
but that's what we
Yes. This
talk
is
less,
Randolph version. Randolph version. Okay.
talk less.
Help us.
You got one mouth. You
Listen.
listen more,
Listen more. 2 years.
2 ears.
And then keep your emotions in check.
Yeah.
Or be slow to wrath, as
Yeah.
it says.
Yep. And that's intentionally using that silence in order to hear what your spouse or significant other is saying.
Mm-hmm.
That's that active listening being put to use in your communication, in your relationship. That's me sitting and making sure that I'm giving you the undivided attention that you require. Not so much that is necessary. I'm gonna put it like that. For me to get an understanding of what it is that you're saying, and also understand what you're communicating to me. I need to give you my undivided attention.
Yeah.
If I don't give it to you, I may miss something.
Yeah, that's true. And in that, when I'm listening to you, if need be, to make sure that I'm giving you my undivided attention, I can repeat something you said, and that's an indication to you that I am listening.
Yeah.
I am listening, and I can put my phone down and put my electronics down.
And listen, y'all. There have been times where we've had conversations where I said, "Did you hear what I said? Can you repeat back what I just said?" And he might give me the last 5 words I just said. I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
But did you catch what I said before that? Sometimes it be.
Sometimes. So, I'm still a work in progress.
We both are. We both are works.
Thank God for grace.
Yeah.
There's no perfect marriages we talked about.
No perfect marriages. So we've been discussing the silent treatment versus sacred silence, and understanding. Hopefully, what we've shared with you on this evening has given you an understanding of what that is, what the differences are between them. When you operate in silent treatment, you're shutting down on your spouse or your significant other, and you're building this wall up, this invisible wall that has to come down, and the only way it's going to come down is if you come back together and talk.
Yeah. Because look at this. Walls, they hinder, they separate, and they block.
Yeah. That's good.
Okay? But bridges, what do bridges mostly do?
They connect
bridges
together.
They connect people, they connect communities, so they bring connection to your relationship. So you always want to build, have a way to build that bridge. You never want to put up walls. You want to try to keep them putting up those walls, especially walls of silence.
Yeah.
Because like I said, we talk mostly when we go give each other silent treatment, as it's called. Most of the time, it's a form of punishment. It's a form of control. Right?
Yep.
So it's a way we don't want to talk right now.
Yep.
So I want to either punish you by not speaking to you, or I want to control you. Right?
Yep.
By determine when I'm going to speak to you again. So we don't want that. That's the unhealthy version of communication. And as we said earlier, the silent treatment is communication.
Yes,
you are communicating. But it's unhealthy. And we want to make sure that we're communicating healthy ways, communicating to each other, to our spouse, our significant other. We're giving them our undivided attention. We're giving them not the silent treatment as a form of control, but we have to go take some time out to reflect, to process. And that's another thing that I had to learn, because I'm a processor. I had to actually communicate, hey, I'm processing.
And when you don't, I ask you, are you
You
still
ask
thinking?
me, am I thinking? I have to let you know that I'm processing.
Yeah.
Now, let me process this, then I can speak. process.
So again, we want you to understand the difference between the silent treatment and sacred silence, because the silent treatment can be destructive and poisonous to your relationship, but the sacred silence can be constructive, okay? Because it gives you that space for you to think and for you to reflect and for you to process.
Yep.
And that's what you want in your relationship. Because if you don't, then you'll have unresolved silence, which creates an emotional distance in your relationship. And you don't want that, right? So the power of stillness and communication is us listening with our heart and responding with grace.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Okay, I'll say
Listening
that
with our
again.
heart
Listening with our heart
and
and
with
responding with grace.
That's good.
And that's
What's gonna say?
I was gonna say that's what we hope that we have shared with you for today's Monday marriage conversation.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed tonight. You want to listen to this again and go back, we'll be on Facebook Live, on YouTube. Go to our page, like, share, let someone know what you heard. If you like what you did, share with someone. Some of us may need this conversation. We need to hear something we said on tonight. So like, share, let someone know that what you heard on Monday Marriage Conversation. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you again next Monday at 8 p.m. Monday Marriage Conversation. God bless you.